Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sports Outlet Show Midnight Edition. My name is Joe Wagner. As always, I'm your host. No, I'm not going to be sitting in the dark all day. Just wanted to do that for dramatic effect. As always, I have my two amazing co-hosts here with me tonight in Brent Allegra and Braden Wilkins. Boys, welcome to the first ever Sports Outlet Show that has the possibility to go from Friday to Saturday for the first time in history.
Let's go. That'd be a 2-hour podcast. But hey, if that's where it takes us, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. I'm ready for the grind.
Absolutely love the energy tonight, boys. I know there's a lot more you could be doing on your Friday night, especially in that college town of Winchester, Virginia, Brent. I know it's crazy over there. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you taking the night to off the books, off the beer for you since you're 21. For me, Braden, it's this water right here. And we're just ready to go, ready to talk some football, guys.
I'm ready for it.
So let's just dive in. Yes, this is, wrong shoulder. This is for my mom, Ohio State Buckeyes. Definitely had to rep the brand. And I think I look good in scarlet and red. I think I look good.
I'm surprised you didn't go VT since we're covering the ACC today.
Yeah, man, I felt like that was a little original. I felt like I could do that any day.
Where's your VT swag, Braden?
I got the Castle Jam sweat from last year. Yeah.
Turn around. There's a sponsor on the back.
Yeah. If I can get it in here. I don't know if I can. It's okay.
It's Roanoke Regional Airport.
Mm-hmm.
We get money for that, right?
Yeah, we just got $3.
Sponsoring their brand.
Absolutely love it. David says, boo, Ohio State. Don't worry, David. I have Penn State segment today as well. So I've got some stuff to get you hype and ready for your season. So let's dive in. Guys, we've gone through 8 conferences. I'm not going to name all of them. If you haven't gone back and watched them yet, go back and watch them, because little hint teaser, if you're following our Twitter account, you saw 5 minutes ago, we are talking week 0 sneak peek, as well as at noon. Austin, PA at Western Kentucky is going to kick off on CBSN. And boys, college football is back in about 14 hours. Exciting stuff. So let's dive in. First off, we're going conference number 9 here. We're going with the Big Ten. Big Ten, known as a little bit of a football division. But guys, I wanted to share something with you before we get started. So when I'm doing my previews for each conference, I always type in Big Ten 2021 standings or ACC 2021 standings just to see what happened in the rigmarole last year. The Big Ten is the first time I typed it in. It pulled up the 2021 basketball standings and not football.
I'm not shocked. I mean, some of these teams, and we'll get into it here, aren't the greatest, but we'll see as we go in.
Well, Brent, if there's one team that isn't the greatest, they always got some fight in them, and that's going to kick us off with the Illinois Fighting Illini. 5-7, 4-5 last season in Big Ten conference play. Obviously, they didn't make a bowl game with the 7 losses. The last time they won the division, the great year that Joseph Wagner and Brent Allegra was born, 2001. So it's been a very, very long time for the Fighting Illini. Can they get it done? I don't know. Let's talk about how it's possible. Their returning head coach, Brent Bielema, he's 5-7 going into his 2nd season. Yeah, pretty cool name. At quarterback, senior returner is Tommy DeVito, 32-52 last season, 388 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks. Obviously wasn't the main starter, but was there when they were getting blown out of the absolute water. Something fancy about Illinois is they averaged 20 points per game last season, although they failed to score more than 20 points in 7 of their final 10 games. So they failed to score at least 3 touchdowns in college football in the Big Ten, which is one of the historically biggest scoring divisions in football. So the Illini were struggling last season. It was very poor play. They were 10th in the Big Ten in yards, 11th in total scoring. Their O-line was a veteran group last season that actually performed very, very well. And I'm going to use this like I did the other podcasts. Their O-line is now a big block of Swiss cheese. There's a lot of holes. It's not great. A lot that needs to get fixed. On the flip side, their defense was outstanding, phenomenal last season. They gave up only 22 points per game and held their own and had the most sacks in Fighting Illini history since 2011. They were playing great defense, great ball on the opposite side. Again, the offense was not. They failed to come up, get this. The Fighting Illini failed to come up with 100 passing yards 5 times in their last 8 games. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was horrible. To top off on that, they averaged 156 passing yards per game, and they only scored 36 points in their 12 games in the first quarter. So they struggled in the first quarter. They scored like 4 points per game on average. It was horrible. Let's talk about the positives. My player to watch, number 1, highlight of the Fighting Illini. There's no one else I can talk about besides him on offense. Chase Brown, he's a junior running back. 170 carries last season, 1,005 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's NFL material. He's going to be a round 4 through 6 draft pick. He's phenomenal. He's fast off the ball. He's the only highlight in this offense this upcoming season. My player to watch, number 2, this is how dang bad this team is. Caleb Griffin Jr. He's a junior, He's their kicker. Last season, he went 1 for 1 in field goals. It was a 28-yarder and 5 for 5 from extra points.
100%, baby.
100.
That's what you like to see.
100%. It was a huge struggle. Most important game for me, week 2 at home against the UVA Cavaliers. It's time for this defense to step up and win because we know UVA is bringing one of the biggest pack-of-a-punch offenses this season in the ACC, which we'll get to. And if you can win this game, your offense is going to have to put up 50 points, unfortunately. So this defense needs to step up and play big. My record prediction is they go 6-7. They'll make that bowl game. They'll lose. So a step up from last year. So that's what I got from the Fighting Illini. Let's go to another major I-state. Brent, I'm so sorry with these teams, dude.
The Indiana Hoosiers. They've seen better years. You guys can see there. They went 2-10 last year. Didn't pick up a single win within the conference. So obviously not very good. But it hasn't just been this past year that's been pretty lackluster for the Hoosiers. It's been a stretch. You have to go all the way back to 1967 to find the last time they won the Big Ten. And even that year, they were co-champions with Minnesota and Purdue. The last time they were sole winners was 1945. That's not good. I don't understand how they haven't – I don't understand how they've made it in the conference this long without getting the boot.
That's 75 years.
Yep.
Ow.
It's sad. Their head coach is Tom Allen, who is on his 6th season with the team and has a record of 26-32. Their quarterback is nothing special. It's backup quarterback from last year, Jack Tuttle. The redshirt senior had 423 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 5 picks. Their bright spots are their corners. Tywan Mullen, he's a junior. He had 37 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 4 broken up passes in 2020, but unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury in week 1 of 2021. The other corner is senior Jalen Williams, who had 112 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 17 broken up passes in 4 seasons. So, to be honest, if it weren't for a week 2 game against Idaho, this team would easily go 0-12. Their only other winnable game is against Illinois, as Joe mentioned earlier, but I don't think they stack up favorably in that matchup at all. And unfortunately, you need more than 2 above-average corners to be good in the Big Ten. I have them going 1-11 this season.
So you're saying the 1945 is still going to keep going?
Yeah, unfortunately.
They're going to start being the Chicago Cubs here soon.
Hopefully we don't get to 2045 and they still haven't won the Big Ten yet.
If they do, we'll make a special podcast for them.
Yep, 100 years.
100 straight years. Let's see, it's 2022, so that's 23 years. So basically double all of our lives. So when I'm 44 years old or so, we'll revamp the Sports Outlet show around the Indiana Hoosiers if they haven't won it yet.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll go work for them. Braden, you want to talk about another I school that on TikTok has had a lot to do with their vegetation?
Yeah. There's some corn. There's some corn there in Iowa. We're gonna get to a different corn mascot later on, but these guys are the runner-ups in the conference last year. They're the Hawkeyes. They went 10-4 last season, 7-3 in the conference. They did appear in the Citrus Bowl where they lost to Kentucky 17-20. The last time they won the Big Ten West was last year, obviously, and they lost the conference championship game to Michigan 3-42. They're led by head coach Kirk Ferentz. It's his 24th year at Iowa, where he has gone 178-110. Their quarterback is Spencer Petras. He's a junior. He's going to most likely earn the job over Alex Padilla. Last season, he threw for just under 1,900 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 9 picks. The strength of this team was a defense. It was shaky at times. Obviously, that Michigan game, that's a lot of points to let up. But this Iowa team was 9th ranked in the nation in defense. They only gave up 20 points per game. They forced 20 turnovers in the first 6 games, and they had 25 total interceptions on the season. So they forced the ball to turn over a lot. They're led by Jack Campbell. He's a senior linebacker. Last season, he had 140 tackles, 2 picks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, one of which he's returned for a touchdown, and another linebacker, senior Seth Benson. He had 105 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and a pick. My most important game for this team for me is Week 5 versus number 8 Michigan. The Hawkeyes are going to be coming out for blood this game. They want revenge for getting absolutely smacked in the conference championship game. This Iowa team does have a tough schedule, though, so a win here would be huge for the Hawkeyes. I have them going 7-5 this season, taking a bit of a step down, but still doing pretty well in this loaded conference.
Do you believe this team, Braden, is overrated or underrated of the 10-4 record from their previous season?
I believe they are a bit overrated. They are obviously on the weaker side of the conference, playing in the West. But they're still a good team. They're led by their defense for sure. They're a good team.
I'd agree. All right. Brent?
Yeah, so I'm actually really glad I got this team because I have a very fond memory of the Fighting Terps all the way back in 2013 when I was in 7th grade. As y'all know, my dad is an ODU fan, so we went to see ODU take on Maryland at home. There are 2 big things I remember from this game. The first was how awful and horrendous the Maryland defense was making the ODU quarterback look. In fact, it was so bad that the quarterback threw 3 picks before halftime and was actually benched before the midway point of the game. That guy's name was none other than ODU and Commander legend Taylor Heineke.
Hey, yo!
The other thing I remember is how crazy, and I mean freaking crazy, dominant one of the receivers was on the Terps. The guy went for 148 receiving yards before halftime and added 2 touchdowns throughout the game, notching his highest receiving total of his collegiate career. It was obvious that this player was just on another level compared to every other single athlete on that field. And that guy's name was Stephon Diggs. It was an awesome game. Awesome game. But anyway, on to this year. Maryland went 7-6 last year in their first competitive season in a long while. They capped off their season with a monster victory of Virginia Tech.
Skip it.
Beating them 54-10 in the Pinstripe Bowl. Their head coach is Mike Locksley, who is entering his 4th season with the team. Back in 2019, Locksley started his career with a 79-0 victory over Howard University and then beat 21st ranked Syracuse 63-20. And that victory was the biggest margin of victory over a ranked opponent in program history. So pretty good start to Loxley's career.
Yeah.
But do you guys want to know how many wins Loxley got in that 2019 season?
3.
He did. 3.
I just guessed.
Yep. So those 2 huge wins to start the season, and then 1 more win throughout the rest of it. So it's been an up and down ride for Loxley. At quarterback, they have the brother of Tua, Talia Tagovailoa. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I think I am.
I think you got it. Braden and I were talking about it earlier.
Yeah. So Talia went for 3,860 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions in his first full season with Maryland last year. According to draft analysts, Talia can make every type of throw, but sometimes struggles with accuracy and arm strength. Tell me where I've heard that one before.
The Miami Dolphins starting quarterback.
Yeah. His brother Tua. So very similar players. I don't know if Talia's good enough to make it to that next level yet. We'll have to see it this year for sure. But the other 2 players are both going to be in the NFL. And the first one is junior wide receiver Dante Demas, who is the ultimate speedster at the college level. This guy absolutely torches DBs as he has gone for 1,775 yards and 13 touchdowns in his short college career thus far. He is the 8th ranked wide receiver in the nation, but he is coming off a knee injury from last year, so that's something to watch for this upcoming season. The second is Jalen Duncan, a senior offensive tackle. He is 6'6", 320 pounds, and he is the 10th ranked offensive lineman in the nation. Both of these guys profile as second-round picks in next year's draft. You would think that with all of this talent that Maryland would be able to make a name for themselves, but unfortunately, we are in the Big Ten now. We have teams like Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. I have the Terps going 5-7 this upcoming year.
Really?
5-7.
They play in the same division as Michigan, Ohio State, and them, right?
Yep.
Okay. See that's the jumbled mess with me for like the Big Ten. Like half of it is amazing, and then the other half is Iowa.
We've seen that with a lot of these divisions we've covered so far.
We really have.
It's like all competitive teams on one side, and then the other side is just straight garbage.
It really is, honestly. But yeah, you didn't have to talk about the bowl game, so. I did want to ask you, do you think I know you sort of talked the discussion about Tagovailoa to eventually going to the draft. In my opinion, so he's a redshirt junior. Obviously, next year he'll be a redshirt senior if he does stay, which I assume he will. Do you believe that Tagovailoa transfers out of Maryland for his senior season if he stays in the NCAA?
I don't know, because I honestly think that this Dante Demas guy, he's going to go to the draft. He's already the 8th ranked wide receiver in the nation, so he's obviously losing his best weapon there. So honestly, it wouldn't shock me at all if he did decide to transfer after this season.
I think just based off of name, at the very worst, he's going to be like a 6th round pick.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because honestly, at the best, he probably, at this point in his career, he only deserves to be an undrafted free agent, in my opinion.
Well, maybe it'll open some eyes this year for the Terps.
Yep.
We'll see. Just have to see. All right, we'll go ahead and go to the Big Ten Conference champs. The Michigan Wolverines, 12-2, 8-1 last season. Obviously, we all remember the story. Michigan got smacked by Georgia in the college football playoff, 11-34. They did win the conference in 2021. Huge season for the Michigan Wolverines. And I did write a quote down, actually, guys, from Michigan, from their beloved head coach, Jim Harbaugh. This was all just the beginning, is what he said in his press conference after they got torched by the Georgia Bulldogs. This was all just the beginning. Just let that settle in while I continue to talk. Michigan has been in the mix for the Big Ten for the past 5 years. In 2018, they lost to the Ohio State University. In 2016, they lost to the Ohio State University. And in 2015, they lost to the Michigan counterparts of the Michigan State Spartans. This year, the Wolverines finally put all the pieces together. They led the Big Ten in rushing behind Hassan Haskins. They had the fewest sacks allowed with a bolster of an offensive line, and they had the fewest tackles for loss per game, again, behind that offensive line. That offensive line was huge for the Wolverines. But, again, the name I just mentioned, who's a Tennessee Titan, they lost Hassan Haskins. They lost Aiden freaking Hutchinson, who should have gone number 1.
Definitely.
I'm okay with it, though, because he's hilarious in Hard Knocks. And I'm going to mispronounce this name. They lost David Ajabo. Is that how you say it?
That sounds right.
I think it is.
Okay. Between Hutchinson and David Ajabo, they accounted for 25 of the team's 34 sacks. Those are 2 holes you cannot fix because Aiden Hutchinson is a once-in-a-generation talent. Kid's insane. And Hassan Haskins, who scored 6 touchdowns against Ohio State last season to knock them out of the college football playoff. Incredible. The kid's great. If Derrick Henry goes down, the Tennessee Titans will be okay. Now, Jim Harbaugh, he's in his 8th season this time around with the Michigan Wolverines. Obviously, he spent a decent amount of seasons beforehand when he transferred to the 49ers and then back to the Wolverines. There's actually a quarterback battle going on here. Believe it or not, senior Cade Namara, was the starter last season with 2,576 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He was the starter, leading a team to 12-2, and he's in competition with a sophomore quarterback. That guy's name, J.J. McCarthy. Last season when Michigan was pounding on teams, he had 516 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 picks. The fact that you've had someone that's been that close to the national championship and is competing with a sophomore that's thrown for 500 yards is atrocious to me. I don't know what Jim Harbaugh is doing. Obviously, Cade's going to win the starting job or Michigan's going to blow up. So that's what I have from that. Michigan's going to be okay with the running back department. They do have the backup, Blake Corum. He was a junior. He's a running back. Last season, after Hassan Haskins torched every backfield, he had 144 carries, 952 yards, and 11 touchdowns. That in itself is a great season. On the flip side, this guy's name is so cool. This guy's name is Junior Colson. He's a sophomore middle linebacker. He had 60 tackles, half a sack, and a fumble recovery last season. Really, really cool. Gonna have to step up, obviously, without Hutchinson and Ajabo next season. Now, Brandon, what do you think the most important game is?
Oof. Got to be Michigan State, right? Ohio State. Fair enough.
It's week 12 at Ohio State. They're going to Columbus this year. It's a chance in week 12, again, to kick Ohio State out of the college football playoff. It's a chance for them to enter themselves into the college football playoff. It's a game that everybody watches. It's a big noon kickoff every season. I really want to go to that game if possible. Michigan's going to be okay. They have a great head coach. They have a star quarterback if he stays healthy and continues to play. They don't have a Hassan Haskins, but they do have a Blake Corum. This team will go 11-2. They'll make one of the New Year's Super Six. They'll be fine. That's all I got for Michigan, boys. Braden, you want to talk about a really, 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 really cool mascot?
Yeah. We got those Minnesota Golden Gophers. I like that a lot. I like the Golden Gophers. They went 9-4 last season, 4-3 in the conference. In their bowl game, they beat West Virginia in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl 18-6. As I mentioned last time when we were talking about West Virginia, that's a very strange score to me. There's a lot of field goals, a lot of missed PATs or something going on there. Not exactly sure what happened, but it's a strange score to me. It's a strange score. Minnesota last won the Big Ten West back in 2019, where they lost the tiebreaker to Wisconsin. Their head coach is PJ Fleck. It's his 6th year at Minnesota, where he's gone 35-23 so far. They're led by quarterback senior Tanner Morgan. Last season, he threw for 2,000 yards, 10 TDs, 9 picks. His best season was in 2019, however, where he threw for 3,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 7 picks. I got 2 players to watch, both on the offensive side of the ball. We got John Michael Schmertz. He's a senior center. He's a comfortable NFL prospect, starting the last 2 seasons at center. He is 6'4" and 320 pounds. And then we have this absolute beast of a running back, Muhammad Ibrahim. He ruptured his Achilles early in 2021 last season, unfortunately, after a monster season in 2020 of 1,076 yards and 15 touchdowns. Last season, in the one game that he played, he rushed for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns before tearing his Achilles. This kid is a beast.
Hey.
He is a monster. If he can come back healthy and maintain his explosiveness, it's going to be fun to watch. He could be a potential Heisman watch candidate. He is disgusting.
Oh?
I do have him taking a step. Go ahead, Brent.
I feel like I've heard of him before, for sure.
Yeah. He was crazy in 2020. And that week 1 game was monstrous.
Are you calling him Derrick Henry?
Maybe. He's a monster. I do have him taking a step down this season, though. Even if he does maintain his explosiveness, I have him going 6-6. They're going to maintain that bowl eligibility, though. My most important game for them is week 4 at number 15, Michigan State. It's their first conference opponent. It's a very tough matchup for them. I don't know if y'all knew this, but Michigan State was 6-0 at home last season. So going into Michigan State is not easy to do. So it's going to be very, very tough for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. If Minnesota wins here, though, they start the season rolling at 4-0 with easy week 1, 2, and 3 opponents. So it could be easy. It could be fun to watch them go 4-0 and then just absolutely take over. But I don't see that happening, unfortunately.
They should be a solid team.
They'll be solid.
There's a lot of solid teams in the Big Ten that are like sneaky, and I feel like Minnesota's like that dark horse.
Mm-hmm,
like
sure.
nobody thinks about them, and then they just pop out of the hole like a gopher, and they're like.
I like that noise.
It's like we're on the same wavelength. It's like we live in the same building. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Brayden, you got to talk back to back, man. I'm sorry, but from one great team to an astounding team, tell me about corn.
Yeah, we talked about Iowa. They're known for their corn, but the Nebraska Corn Huskers are not a good football team. They went 3-9 last season, 1-8 in the conference. Obviously, did not qualify for a bowl. They won the Big Ten Legends Division back in 2012, where they lost the conference championship game 70-31 against Wisconsin. So yeah, they did win the division back in 2012, but got blown out in that conference championship. Their head coach is Scott Frost, which is an excellent name, and it's his 5th year at Nebraska. He went 15-29 so far in those past 4 years. Their quarterback is Casey Thompson. He's a junior. He was recently named the starter quarterback. He's a transfer. Texas. He was a transfer from Texas. Texas led the Big 12 in touchdowns last season with 24. And last season, he threw for 2,100 yards and 9 picks along with those 24 touchdowns. The Cornhuskers also received third-year freshman transfer from Florida State, Chuba Purdy. He's not going to be the starter, but he could have a chance to weasel his way in there if Thompson doesn't hold up the way they want him to. I got 2 players to watch. I got Luke Raymer. He's a junior linebacker with 108 tackles last season, 3 passes deflected, 1 interception, and 3 forced fumbles. And then I have a punter, Brian Buscini. He's a transfer from Montana and was actually the best punter in the FCS last season in terms of overall yardage, and he was 3rd best in terms of yard per punt at 46. We'll see if he can do it at the FBS level, but he was a beast from Montana. Their most important game for me is Week 12 versus Wisconsin. It's a winnable game at home, sandwiched between road trips to Michigan and Iowa. So they're going to need this one if Iowa wants to go the Cornhuskers want to go bowling this year. I have them going 6-6, taking that bowl eligibility, and I do have an interesting stat for you here. Although the Cornhuskers were 3-9 last season, they were 2nd in the Big Ten in total offense. They just could not put the ball in the end zone. They only scored 30-plus points twice last season, and it was against really bad opponents in Fordham, where they scored 52, and Northwestern, where they scored 56. They did not score above 30 points again the rest of the season. So, yeah, those are the Cornhuskers. They're going to go 6-6. They're going to take a step up, but they're still not going to be great. They have a pretty easy schedule.
He's breaking up.
Sorry. Where do we leave off?
Okay, you're back now.
It's like we live in the same building.
Mm-hmm.
I love the punter love, Braden. It's a good time to be a punter unless you're Matt Ariza. All right, next segment. Next segment.
Too soon. Too soon.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
With that being said, talk about the Wildcats. Go, please.
All right. So Northwestern, they're the Wildcats, baby. They had one of their worst seasons last year under Pat Fitzgerald, finishing with a record of 3-9 and only getting one win divisionally. Speaking of Pat Fitzgerald, he is the fourth longest tenured head coach in FBS, and he's only 47, which is kind of wild. He has been coaching since 2006 and has gone 109-90 with the team. Their quarterback is Ryan Helinski, the backup last year. The rising junior went for 978 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 picks. 2 players to watch are A.J. Hampton. He's a senior cornerback. He had 44 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 21 broken up passes in 4 seasons. And the big man, Peter Skoronski, he's a junior offensive tackle. He's 6'4", 294 pounds, and he was second team All Big Ten as a true freshman and first team All Big Ten as a sophomore. He's the second ranked offensive lineman in the country, and he is projected to be a mid-first round pick next year. So obviously their biggest, strongest link is Peter Skoronski. He's gonna be a star in the NFL one day, I think. My game to watch, it's actually tomorrow. It's tomorrow versus Nebraska, week 0, baby.
Dude, stop.
These teams are Big Ten opponents who stack up pretty similarly, and this is shaping up to be one of the best week 0 games of this season. They don't have much to compete with. The week 0 schedule, it's not great, but it is still college football. So I think the Big Ten matchup will dominate over the others, in my opinion. Overall, even though Pat Fitzgerald is a phenomenal head coach, Northwestern seems to be going in a downward trajectory. I expect them to go 4-8 this season.
Hold that thought on the week 0. I promise. We would love your opinion in just a few moments. I promise. Okay, time for me to take a big deep breath here because I'm not sure how I'm going to do this team justice. The Ohio State Buckeyes, 11-2 last season, 8-1. Let's just take a second. Last season, they put up one of the most memorable Rose Bowls to ever occur. They won 48-45 against Utah in the Rose Bowl. It was a high-scoring affair. It was crazy. It was a great game. After the first quarter, the over-under was set at 81. Obviously, this game went for 93 points. After the first quarter, only 21 points had been scored. So every single person that took the over on that game, good job, because you're crazy. It was like a plus 150. It was an incredible bet. I just remember that because I was standing in Carrabba's betting on that game. I do want to say this. What happens when you go into Michigan, get just stomped by Hassan Haskins, lose in the Big Ten championship, and then get kicked out of the college football playoff? What's your first reaction?
Quit.
Ohio State is mad. They are ticked. This team, their faces of fury are redder than their scarlet jerseys. This team lost 42-27 to Michigan in the Big Ten championship. Now let's go back a little bit. Let's do some history. Let's get a little history going for the Buckeyes. In 2019, they lost to Clemson in the college football playoff. 2 versus 3 seed. Very simple. They lost. Obviously, Alabama went on to beat Clemson. Obviously, a Trevor Lawrence-led team. They lost 29-23. Justin Fields threw for 320 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. In 2020, the following year, they met Clemson again in the college football playoff as the 2 and 3 seeds. They beat Clemson 49-28. They beat them by 21. Fields threw for 385 yards and 6 touchdowns in Trevor Lawrence's final game. Bam. That's one. In 2021, they lost to Michigan in the Big Ten ship. 42-27 loss. Well, we call it the Big Ten ship. It was a Week 12 game. It was the Big Ten ship. Get Iowa out of here. Sorry, Braden. They lost 42-27. CJ Stroud threw for 394 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2022, they meet again in Week 12 at Ohio State. Week 12, obviously match to be determined. This team is pissed. This team's ready to rock and roll. You saw what they did to Clemson. I believe the same thing could happen to the Wolverines. So just if you're Harbaugh, just watch out. That's all I have to say so far. In 2020, they won the division. They won the conference. Ryan Day is going into his 4th season. How many games do you think he's lost in those first 3 seasons?
6.
7.
4. He's lost 4 games, including 2 college football playoffs. So Ohio State's relevant every single season. Guys, my player to watch number 1 is the quarterback. It's CJ Stroud.
Really? Really? Come on. He sucks.
4,435 yards passing, 44 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. I grew up watching Ohio State football. I was forced to do it. This is the first time I have been excited about an Ohio State quarterback to go to the next level. I did not like Justin Fields. I did not like RIP, speak of his name, Dwayne Haskins. I didn't like Jason Barrett. I didn't like any of them. I thought they were trash. I thought they ran the ball too much and wouldn't succeed. Again, so far I've been correct. So far, so good. CJ Stroud's a different breed of player.
Sounds like a future Giant.
It's possible. CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are the 2 guys to talk about this season. We'll talk about Bryce Young in the SEC segment next week. CJ Stroud's going to win the Heisman. This kid's electric. He's elite. He has everything to lose. And when your back's pinned against the wall in the Big Ten, the only way you can push is forward. And that's going to happen. I'm skipping over my 2 players to watch really quick in their Week 1 game at home against the number 5 fake as ranked Notre Dame. It's going to count as an AP top 10 win. It's going to count as one. It doesn't matter if you win by 5 or when they beat them by 30, which will happen because Notre Dame is trash. Fake franchise. I'm sorry. Let's talk about the players to watch for OSU. Obviously, there's an elephant in the room. No Chris Olave, no Garrett Wilson. And you would think to yourself, this team's in big trouble. No, they're not. They have my boy. They have Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. This team is ready to rock with him as wide receiver number 3 last season. He caught 95 receptions for 1,600 yards and 9 touchdowns. Behind the 2 best wide receivers in the draft, he did that. So what's it going to look like when he's the number 1 target man? He's probably going to catch for 2K.
Sounds like a Justin Jefferson situation.
It really does. It really does. At middle linebacker, my second player to watch for the Buckeyes, Tommy Eichenberg. He's the middle linebacker. He's a senior. He had 64 tackles, a fumble recovery, and a pick last season. The Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm going to finish with this. Feel free to make whatever face you want. The Ohio State Buckeyes will be your 2022 national champions at 14-0. They will not lose a single ball game this season. Ryan Day and CJ Stroud are on a revenge tour, and I'm all for it. I'm very excited.
I can see it. I'm sure we'll have this discussion later, but I personally like CJ Stroud over Bryce Young.
It's definitely a conversation.
It's close, though. It's close. I just don't trust the Alabama quarterbacks. I don't know what it is about it, but it's hard.
I'm kind of the same. I don't trust them in the NFL.
Yeah.
All these big teams are making like such great prospects in college that just don't transform.
I mean, to be fair, you mentioned it with the Ohio State guys too. It's weird. It's like the big quarterbacks come out of like the smaller schools. Like look at Josh Allen, Wyoming. That's crazy.
It's true.
And then you have Trey Lance and Carson Wentz coming from FCS schools. I mean, they're not really great, but they still made the NFL.
You got to mention Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
It just seems to have like Ben Roethlisberger came out of Miami, Ohio.
Yep.
It's those small schools you got to look after. That's what I'm saying. Because Oklahoma hasn't had too much success either. It's Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. And you can talk about Jalen Hurts, Braden. I know.
Well, he's got to prove it.
Well, he was a 1-year Oklahoma. I put him in the Alabama realm. Anyways, That's my take on the Buckeyes. David, this one's for you, buddy. Penn State Nittany Lions at 7-6, 4-5 last season. Penn State's been a dominant force in the Big Ten as well. They're also on that side with Ohio State and Michigan, so extremely difficult to win ball games in that part of the Big Ten Conference. They lost 10-24 in the Outback Bowl to the Arkansas Razorbacks, which was kind of strange that Penn State was actually in this game, considering Arkansas was a top 25 team. So I'm not really sure what they were doing there, but they held their own for most of the game. Obviously lost it in the third and fourth quarter. They lost by 14. But I have some interesting stuff for you guys about Penn State actually really fast. So from 2016 to 2019 pre-COVID, Penn State won the Big Ten championship. They made a Rose Bowl appearance. They won a Fiesta Bowl, and they won a Sugar Bowl. That's huge. Those are 4 strong, great seasons. They went 2-6 at the end of last season after 2-6 after starting 5-0. These are their losses. Number 23, Iowa, they lost by 3 points. Illinois, they lost in overtime by 2 points. Number 6, Ohio State, they lost by 9. Number 3, Michigan, they lost by 4. Number 9, Michigan State, they lost by 3. Number 21, there they are, Arkansas, they lost by 14. They held their own in every ball game and could not finish.
Again, it's the East. It's the East.
This team could have easily been a top 25. This team, we're talking one flip of the ball each way. We're not going to give them the Arkansas game, and we're not going to give them the Ohio State game because those were both more than one possession games. You're talking one flip of the ball. This team's 11-2.
Yep.
This team's 11-2. Penn State in the Big Ten is so unfortunate where they are, but they're behind the man James Franklin, one of my personal favorite head coaches in college football. He's awesome. He's hilarious. He's fun to watch. James Franklin, 91-43, going into his 12th season. Is what David just said true?
I don't know.
Hold on. I need to stat check something before I go in. Give me like 3 seconds, guys. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, he's talking about last season. Yeah, he's right about last season. Yeah, so returning for his 5th season as a Nittany Lion is Sean Clifford. David, you scared me. I knew that about last season. I thought you were saying he got hurt again, and I was going to say, oh gosh, throw the torch in the flame. It's over. Sean Clifford, he's a senior, obviously a super senior in his 5th season, all with Penn State. 3,107 yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Sean Clifford, in my opinion, when at his best, is one of the best actual quarterbacks in college football. He's phenomenal. He plays great. In all 5 of his seasons, Sean Clifford has at one point been a starter. That says a lot about his commitment to the campaign. The offense was mediocre. They had 376 yards and 25 points per game. It's funny when you talk about college football, 376 yards per game is mediocre. That's crazy to me. Obviously, Clifford's been on and on with his starting quarterback position. It is his at the start of 2022. The key loss here is wide receiver Jahan Dotson. Obviously going to the Washington Commanders. What was that face for?
I don't know. Jahan.
Yeah, what about him?
They're going to miss him.
I know they're gonna miss it. You looked at me like he wasn't a star. Ever since, all right, I have both of you here, so you obviously know this, and I expect you to say it. Who are the two best Penn State running backs that have come out of recent years?
Saquon.
And Miles Sanders.
Congratulations. Ever since the Barkley and Sanders era, Penn State is averaging 3.2 yards per carry on the running game. That is horrific. That's so bad. It's so bad. Now, how can we fix this? We can't. It's about the quarterback and passing play. Sophomore wide receiver Parker Washington had 64 receptions, 820 yards, and 4 touchdowns last season. He's a stud. He can back up Jahan Dotson, I believe, in his stats from last season. It's a big ask, but I think the sophomore can do it. Sophomore weak side will linebacker Curtis Jacobs also is a player to watch. He had 61 tackles, 3 sacks, and a pick last season. Penn State needs to get it done past the first. They have to get it done past the first quarter. They won 80-33 in the first quarter last season. They have to get it done. They have to get it done through 4 straight quarters of play. They come out, they get hype. All that sort of stuff. I went a little unusual here for the game to watch. Week 7 at home against Minnesota. Do any of you know what that game is? It's what they're famous for.
It's the what?
It's what Penn State is famous for at football.
It's the whiteout.
It's the whiteout game.
Okay. Interesting.
Now, obviously, that's kind of lame because it's Minnesota and it's a noon kickoff. No offense to your Minnesota.
That does kind of suck that it's a noon kickoff.
Yeah, whiteouts, I feel like should definitely be
at night. They have to be.
Fox got the rights to it. One of my intern friends talked about it all summer long. It's when Fox gets a hold of it, it's a big noon kickoff. That's just what it is. It's unfortunate for them. They'll still have fun. But here's why it's my key game. Obviously, they have to win it. It's Minnesota. It's at home. It's whiteout. You don't win it, the school's going to hate you. It's immediately after they come from the big house playing Michigan and right before they play Ohio State at home. So they have a little love gap there in the middle between here and here. And imagine if Penn State can clean sweep that.
I feel like they can win that game. I feel like they scheduled that as the whiteout game because they think they can win it.
They should. They most likely will. They most likely will.
I'm kind of hoping Minnesota pulls up the upset, though, just because of that. Like, they could have easily put, like, Ohio State on the schedule or Michigan or one of those big teams.
And people at Penn State are disappointed about that.
They have a right to be.
Me too.
Yeah, I would be too. But that's what I have from Penn State. I do have them going a bit above this season at 8-5, making a bowl game. Again, guys, it's so difficult to play in this conference and in this conference division. I know I did skip over Michigan State. That is one of my teams, but I don't want to talk 3 times in a row. So Braden, please talk about Purdue. Brent, talk about Rutgers after, and then I'll go on with the Spartans.
The Boilermakers, or as some people were calling them last season, the Spoilermakers. They had an interesting season. The Spoilermakers name came from beating 2 ranked opponents. They beat Iowa 24-7. They were ranked 23 at the time, and they beat Michigan State was the big one. At the 9 seed at the time, they beat them 40-29. That was a huge game for them. They also beat Tennessee in the Music City Bowl as underdogs 48-45. That was another huge one. They won their bowl game. You got to love that. 2 of their 4 losses were against some real head scratchers of a team. They lost to Wisconsin 30-13. It happens. Sometimes you lose those games. And they lost to Minnesota 20-13. So their other 2 losses came against Ohio State and Notre Dame. So big ranked opponents. This team is a little bit confusing. This team has never won the Big Ten West. It won the conference back in 2000, but it hasn't won the Big Ten West. Their head coach is Jeff Brom. It's his 6th year. He's gone 28 and 29 in that time. Their quarterback is nice. Aiden O'Connell is really, really good. He's a senior. He threw for 3,700 yards last season, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks on a 71.6% completion percentage, which was number 6 in the country. I have 2 players to watch. Payne Durham. I know Joe was talking about the Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson situation earlier, so this isn't quite to that level. But Purdue is losing David Bell to Cleveland, the Browns, and Milton Wright due to ineligibility. And those were their 2 biggest receivers. Payne Durham is the next guy up as a tight end. He's got to make some plays. Last season, he only caught for 467 yards and 6 touchdowns. So he's going to have to step it up, get in the end zone, do what tight ends do. My next player to watch is Jalen Graham. He's a senior linebacker with 64 tackles, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown on those interceptions, 7 passes deflected, and 1 forced fumble. My most important game for them is week 1 versus Penn State. It's a huge home opener. It's going to be a tough matchup to get the season rolling. And I have the Boilermakers taking a huge step down the season and going 5-7 with a tough schedule.
So basketball season is what you're saying.
Yeah, basketball
They're
season.
always solid at basketball. You can rely on them for that.
Maybe if we get enough love for this Super Series, maybe we'll do a basketball one.
I'm totally down.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Then after that, we do soccer and lacrosse and
Yeah.
cricket and all those sort of sports.
Basketball's going to be tough because there's a lot more relevant teams that we got to talk about.
That's
Bass
true.
fishing.
Yes.
Hey, number one. Let's go ahead and talk about the Scarlet Knights.
All right, so the best Scarlet team in the Big Ten. We're talking about it here now. No, I'm just playing.
My mom's definitely watching, and she already told me not to give you the Ohio State segment.
Hey, I don't mind Ohio State. It's not that bad.
Good. You weren't going to get buffalo chicken dip this summer.
All right. Well, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, they went 5-8 last year. They only picked up 2 wins within the division. The last time they won the Big Ten championship was back in 2012, and that happens to be their only championship in program history. They're coached by Greg Schiano, who was a great coach for them from 2001 to 2011 before deciding to take his talents to the NFL level. Schiano was the head coach of the Buccaneers for 2 seasons and then bounced around doing assistant jobs until going back to Rutgers in 2020. Schiano is 76-81 with the Scarlet Knights. Their quarterback is familiar face graduate Noah Vedral. He went for 1,813 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 7 picks last year. And 2 players to watch are Christian Isian, a senior safety who has had 219 tackles, 4 interceptions, 15 broken up passes, and 10.5 tackles for loss in 3 seasons. And then, again, we need some punter love. Senior Aussie punter, Adam Korosek. Korosek has had 274 punts, 113 of those put inside the 20, and 40 over 50 yards in 4 years. So he's a great Australian punter. Again, the Big Ten teams I'm getting, they don't even compare to the cream of the crop. They don't. I have Rutgers going 3-9 next season.
Ow.
I know.
Yes, I love the love for the punter though. Aussie punters are always fun. They're always pretty successful.
I feel like we're getting more of them lately.
Mm-hmm.
There's something going on over there in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
They're teaching these people how to punt.
Maybe they're just like, I don't know, doing something with kangaroos.
Maybe
Maybe the kangaroos are teaching them.
Maybe we'll get a kangaroo in college football here soon.
Dude, I'm not opposed. Definitely not. Really quick before we cap off with Wisconsin, I'm going to jump back to the Michigan State Spartans at 11-2, 7-2 last season. They won 31-21 over the Pittsburgh Panthers in the Peach Bowl last season. Last time they won the Big Ten was in 2015. They're in their third season under Mel Tucker, who's 13-7 overall. Let's talk about the thorn in the side of this team. And no, it's not their quarterback, Peyton Thorne. It's the loss of Kenneth Walker, who was in line possibly to have a huge role with the Seattle Seahawks, but might not play week 1.
That groin. It's killing him.
And at the same time, Rashad Penny is having some issues with his hammy at the same time.
And got COVID. I don't know if you saw that.
COVID.
Yep.
And Chris Carson is no longer there.
Yep.
It might be time to bring back Marshawn Lynch for a few games, boys.
I'm not opposed.
But that's the big thorn in Michigan State Spartans' side. Now, what do thorns usually represent?
Roses.
They represent roses. Michigan State, Peyton Thorne, the junior, is an absolute rose in a thorn bush. 3,240 yards. Yes, Braden.
It's so cute.
27 touchdowns and 10 INTs last season. Read that again. 3,240 yards last season with Kenneth Walker on the field. Dude, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Now, let's talk about the real thorn in their side. Their sophomore running back, Jalen Berger, 24 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown. That's no Kenneth Walker. That's no Kenneth Walker. But it gets a little more positive. At defense, the Florida transfer, Chris Bogle, 22 tackles, 1.5 sacks last season for the Gators. Going to bring a huge defensive line presence for the Spartans that they so desperately need. One little fun fact I have about Michigan State is that they had 42 sacks last season, and their opponents only had 21. So they doubled their sack total against their opposition. I thought that was pretty fun to sort of exemplify. They were getting in backfields pretty well. Now, what's their game to watch? It's the number 8 seed at week 8 in the same state on the screen currently, actually, right next to Braden. It's that little M. It's that M. It's the Michigan Wolverines, 100%. You need to take the state. You need to take this game. You gotta have it. Like, yeah, that's all I have to say. They're going 9-4. They're not making the Rose Bowl. That's all I have. They had a great season last season, especially taking out Pitt by 10 in the Peach Bowl. But that's really all I got for the Spartans. Yeah, Braden.
I thought thorns represented roses. No Rose Bowl?
No, this thorn is not. He is pretty, but he's not. He's not like that $20 6-pack you get at Walmart.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's like that single rose you buy for $3, like at a farmer's market.
So he's not a bowl of roses. That makes sense.
No. The Rose Bowl. He's not a bowl.
I get it.
It's unfortunate. So Brent, are you gonna make a joke about draft day, or can I steal it?
You could steal it.
Or were you gonna make it?
No.
Okay. Brent gets to talk about a team that has brought the greatest quarterback of all time in fictional history. Bo Callahan and the Wisconsin Badgers.
Let's go, baby. Bo Callahan. You know I'm going to have a long segment on him. Nah, just kidding. But the Badgers, I feel like they're forgotten about sometimes. They went 9-4 last year, picking up 6 wins within the division. They won their bowl game last year over Arizona State in the Las Vegas Bowl. The last time they made the Big Ten championship was 2019, where they lost to Ohio State. They're coached by longtime head coach Paul Christ, who has a favorable record of 65-23 with the team. Christ that's a big last name. You got to live up to that last name. Their quarterback is Graham Mertz, who is very below average last season, going for 1,958 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 11 picks. Where they make up for it is the run game and defense. They were led by true freshman running back Braylon Allen, who averaged over 100 yards per game, going for 1,109 yards and 12 touchdowns. This man straight up carried them to a few victories in 2021, which is crazy as a true freshman running back. The other is Nick Herbig. He's a junior linebacker. He has had 83 tackles, 8 sacks, 18 tackles for loss, and 2 forced fumbles in his first 2 seasons. I project the Badgers picking up the same amount of wins as they did last year, but it could all change if they get surprise wins over Michigan State and Ohio State. Lucky for them, they are in the Big Ten West, so they have a chance to make it to the championship, but I don't know if they'll get it done against those really good teams we talked about earlier.
Okay. I have one thing before we transition to the week 0 sort of concept. Braden, would you say I was a little antisocial this morning?
You were hiding away. You were in the lab, let's say.
I was sitting on my bed watching the league on my television, typing away some little factoids for this podcast. And before I came out, I went on my desk and I did something. Braden, I need you to come in my room.
All right.
Can I come?
Yes, Brent, please.
All right, it'll just be like 3 hours. Don't worry, guys. We'll
So
be
a
here.
3-hour podcast. Braden, I need you to take this out of my hand in 1 second. Go back to your seat and read it.
What? This is stupid.
Just wait. You'll understand.
All right.
Oh, his face. Yes.
Vontae Mack, no matter what, Ohio State champs. If you haven't seen Draft Day, you'll understand it. Go watch it. But that was a moment for me, Braden. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a big step in the podcast. I very much enjoyed that. But that's all we have for the Big Ten. We do have the ACC to cover, but like Brent previously mentioned, there's some college football happening. Is that tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow.
It might just be. It might just be.
It might be tomorrow. Oh, it is tomorrow. Starting off with Austin, PA at Western Kentucky.
Best game.
And if you watched the CUSA, you would have seen Western Kentucky. Make sure you go back and watch it.
Not Austin, PA.
You did not see Austin, PA.
They're an FCS team. We don't cover that. Obviously, you see the spread is at minus 24.5. What do you boys think? What are we expecting from week 0, game 1 kickoff on CBSN? What do we think? Give me some background. Like, you don't got to tell me about the teams. What do you think about the spread?
Obviously, an Austin, PA money line. You got to take the money line on Austin, PA. I'm just playing. I honestly don't know much about them, but if they're an FCS team, they probably don't stack up pretty good. So I don't know. You might be able to take Western Kentucky with the points. I'm not sure.
Well, it's a 94.5% to 5% match. So
Hey, we've seen FCS team beat FPS teams before. It's happened. It's not going to happen in this game, though. It's not. Western Kentucky's going to run away with it. First game of the college football season is going to be a blowout. And you know what? I'm okay with it. There's football. It's football.
That's okay. Braden, I'm glad you said that because you only got to watch it for 30 minutes. You want to know why? Because at 12:30 on Fox, Brent, it's the game you mentioned.
The game of the year?
Northwestern, game of the year. Brent, this is a huge Big Ten matchup. Who you got? There's a spread, obviously.
Honestly, I'd take Northwestern with the points.
Okay.
You know what? Brent, you were talking about the money line in the game before. Give me Northwestern's money line here.
Honestly, it's not. It's not bad. It's possible. It's possible. I can see it. I honestly think Northwestern's the better team, and they're at home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why Nebraska's favored.
I want to fix that statement for you. They're not at home.
Oh.
This game's being played in Dublin, Ireland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Definitely Northwestern then. Definitely.
Exactly.
See, I would have taken Northwestern in Dublin if it was the Idaho State, because potatoes, baby.
Potatoes, yeah.
Game 3 that we got going on, I think let me double check the time for you. Our internet's slow. At 3:30, we got Idaho State, another FCS team, at UNLV, the team that went 1-11 last season. I'm pretty sure Brent covered them. Was that Brent or was that Braden?
I can't remember. I honestly, it might have been Chris.
That's true.
It could have been. They were 1-11 either way. This game being played in Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. We got two great teams here, a -21. What you guys thinking? Is there a chance for an upset here?
You know, with these week 0 games, you never know. But
I
UNLV.
I think 21 points is a lot for a team that went 1-11.
It's a lot. Give me the spread. Give me the spread for Idaho State.
Chris covered UNLV, so I'm definitely taking Idaho State here. I'm definitely taking Idaho State.
Are you talking money line?
No. I'm too scared. I'm too scared with that. I can't bet money line on teams I don't know.
Another week 0 game from another 1-11 team. UConn at Utah State. Utah State -26.5.
Is UConn that bad at football?
Oh, they went 1-11 last year. Utah
State's
State's not bad.
Points, that's too many points.
Oh, you're Trenton it? That's too many points?
It's too many points.
What if I told you that the over-under for a spread that's 26.5 is set at 59? Yeah. Isn't that kind of nuts?
That is a little weird.
Low.
That's really weird. So
again, that game's at 4:00 on Fox Sports, by the way.
That's tripping me up.
I don't know either. I'd take UConn. I don't know.
Because if they're expecting Utah State to score 27 more points than UConn, then they're expecting them to score 56 points with the over/under. Because otherwise, the math just doesn't math. It doesn't add up.
Correct. Precisely. Braden's beating the sports books today.
There you go, Braden.
Let's go to another game without Josh Allen. Wyoming at Illinois. Illinois is 14-point favorites here, week 1 on Big Ten Network. This game's being played in Champaign, not the town of Illinois, unfortunately.
Both of these teams are garbage.
Yeah.
14's a lot of points for a Wyoming team that has history of success.
Yeah, but recent history of awfulness. I covered Wyoming, and I projected them going 4-8.
Okay, maybe this was one of the 4.
I don't think it was.
Hey, big matchup there, big matchup. You got, matchup of the week.
DeQuincy, baby.
DeQuin's money line. DeQuin's money line.
I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
There is not an over/under set on this game. For good reason.
For obvious reasons.
For good reason. Florida State gets a cakewalk in week 0, excuse me. That game's on ACC Network. It is in Tallahassee, so good luck. Keep it.
I'm taking DeQuincy all day, every day. It doesn't matter the matchup.
How do you take a -41? How do you do that? I don't understand how you do that for a team that went 5-7 last season.
In FCS though?
It doesn't matter. It's still football.
A below average FCS team.
Against Florida State.
To be fair, Florida State's a below average FBS team.
This is true.
2 average.
Yeah.
Below average, 2 average.
We do have a CUSA matchup of the day, actually. That's going to be on Why is it CBSSN? That's stupid. It should be CBSS. It should be CBSN. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. We got Charlotte at Florida Atlantic. I covered Charlotte. I know one of you covered Florida Atlantic.
Let me see. Braden, that was all you, buddy.
All right, Braden, we're gonna be sitting on the couch at 7 talking about this one tomorrow. You want to make a bet?
No.
Charlotte at Florida Atlantic. This game's being played in Boca Raton, Florida. It's actually, honestly, probably going to be one of the best games of the day. Actually looking forward to watching it up until 10 p.m. because we have a friend's birthday. So we'll be doing that. Another ACC team that's
I was waiting for this one.
An absolute thwomp. Florida A&M at UNC minus 36. This game's being played in Chapel Hill, obviously. This game's on ACC Network at 8:15.
I saw some news earlier. I saw some things about ineligibility with Florida A&M and their flight getting delayed. So honestly, give me like UNC minus 50.
I didn't even know Florida had an A&M.
I didn't either. But I heard some things about like Florida's players being ineligible and they didn't know until like yesterday, and their flight got delayed tonight. Like they just arrived at UNC like 2 hours ago.
Oh no!
Take the points.
Take the points.
Mhm.
There's no over/under set on that one right now. This one, another good game actually in the CUSA. So we have two actually really influential, fun CUSA games. North Texas at UTEP. North Texas, the Mean Green 1.5 point favorites. I know I covered UTEP. I think Chris was North Texas actually. That one should be interesting. It is in El Paso, Texas. Over under set at 54.5. Hey man, give me the Mean Green away. Let's go with them.
Sure.
Let's go with them. That's really all I have to say. It's week 0. It's basically like preseason for football for the NFL. Like it's not that exciting, but it's like it's football, so it is exciting at the same time.
I mean, there's a couple games.
Like this one. This one's fun.
Nevada at New Mexico State. This one on ESPN2 at 10 p.m. So we'll be watching this one on our phones, Braden. This
I like
one's
this
in
one.
Aggie.
This one's one of my favorite matchups. I like this one.
This one's in Aggie Memorial Stadium. Over under set at 48. Watch out, New Mexico State.
Oh.
Did you guys
I
see
covered them.
Did you guys see Did you see the TikTok about a ref calling New Mexico State?
Yeah.
They were mad.
They didn't like that.
So maybe they'll win this one. Who knows? Guys, I don't have any opinions. I will next week for the week 1, but like I don't know how to tell you week 0 football. But I just lied. This game right here, week 0, Vanderbilt at Hawaii. It is in Honolulu. It is at the Rainbow Warrior Stadium. Vanderbilt is like New Jersey. It is the armpit of the SEC. It is. Vanderbilt is horrible. When we get to the SEC, who has them? Who has them?
That's Chris/Joe is what.
I'm not doing that team. I'm sorry. We will throw them out. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to be rude. Vanderbilt -9 is atrocious. Hawaii money line.
Didn't Hawaii not play last season though?
No, they did.
They did.
Hawaii's-
It was the season before.
Yeah.
What season did they not play because of COVID?
I think it was 2020.
What do you got, Ray?
Hawaii is not a very good team either, and they're in a much worse conference.
Bro, it's the
I know
Rainbow
Vandy's
Warriors.
terrible.
Give me them all day.
All right. I respect it.
Give me the money line. That's what I want.
Okay.
Anything else about week 0 before we shift into the Atlantic Coastal Conference?
Do it.
Let's do it. First big thing is obviously, if you haven't seen, the ACC has some huge scheduling changes actually.
Mhm.
They're playing is it a 3-5-5? Yes, 3-5-5 is what it's called. They play 3 teams every single year. Those have already been denoted for your school specific. I know one of ours is obviously UVA.
I think we have Miami and
No,
Georgia
we
Tech.
don't have Miami because we were upset about Miami.
Oh yeah, we have Georgia Tech. I'm pretty sure.
I think we have Pitt.
Yeah, that's it.
I think we have Pitt. Those are our 3. And then the other 5, you switch every other. So you'll play them twice in 4 years, each at your home stadium. So we only have to see Clemson twice every 4 years. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good. This year is not one of those years. That's great for us, but extremely exciting. That's ACC play, and I get to kick it off with a team that finished really, really well, actually, in the ACC college basketball tournament. The Boston College Eagles. Oh, boy, I'm excited about this one. The Military Bowl got canceled due to COVID-19 issues last season. Last time they won the division, they haven't. They lost in 2007 and 2008 to your Virginia Tech Hokies. The only time the Hokies have been back-to-back. Head coach Jeff Hafley is entering his third season at 12-11 so far. But here was kind of the thing about Boston College. To quote their unquoted, it was definitely their coach. It was definitely their coach, but it was an anonymous source. We have been stuck in the land of the okay. I would agree. 6-6, 2-6. In 2013 through 2018, Boston College won 7 games, 5 times in 6 years. So that's really impressive, actually, for Boston College. Their offense was the worst in the ACC. They averaged 350 yards per game. But here's the highlight. Here's why Boston College is going to be okay this year. Senior returning quarterback Phil Jurkovec, I think is how you say it. He has 2,558 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 5 picks in the season he played fully in 2020. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He's actually an NFL caliber star. He has the opportunities to be in rounds 4 through 6 next season if he stays healthy, if he plays the whole year. He has an incredible arm. He actually played against the Hokies and beat us last season. It was horrible for us, but he plays very well. You also got to talk about Zay Flowers, the senior wide receiver, 44 receptions, 746 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Again, on the other side of the ball, you have Marquez Valdez. He's the senior defensive end, 27 tackles, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles.
Joe, I think you missed the last part of his hyphenated name. You said Marquez Valdez?
No, I didn't miss Scantling. It's
Okay.
It's Marcus Valdez. There's no. I knew someone was gonna say that. I don't know why. I thought it was gonna be Brent actually, but thanks.
I drafted him.
I didn't miss it. So obviously the star quarterback was hurt, but that's no excuse to not to hit the 200-yard mark from passing the ball 2 times in their final 10 games. There's no excuse for that. That is horrible. Fourth quarter, on the other hand, was a shine for the Eagles. 78 total points to 52 of their opponents. They got it done there. Their most important game was Week 7 away against number 22 Wake Forest. ACC play is going to be difficult for the Eagles. This is a huge chance to get a big win against the Demon Deacons. I believe Boston College, again, goes that 6-6, makes that bowl game, and wins it. And actually, I want you guys to take a moment. Let's take a pause. Brayden knows why. We're going to take a pause for a second. I want you all to talk about the ACC as an entity as a whole and where it's going post-2025 with the SEC and other sort of conferences like that.
Who knows, dude? There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving and shifting around. There's big teams that could end up going to the SEC. You got Clemson, you got your Virginia Tech, you got your Miami, Florida, you got your UVA, you got your NC State, you got your Florida State. Not all of those teams can get out of the ACC to a bigger conference. Power 5, it's shaky. We'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
the ACC is going to go through some changes.
It kind of seems like everybody just wants to hop ship and move to the SEC, but obviously you can't have every single team in the SEC, so we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm glad you guys said that because honestly, one of the teams I'm looking for this season is the Clemson Tigers. So they're going to be an extremely valuable team to the ACC this season. What are you guys looking at?
The wardrobe change. I like it. It was smooth.
What? Oh, gee, sorry. We had a power outage here. I'm not sure what happened. Wait,
Braden's there. Braden.
I'm trying to get everything back up on my computer. There was a huge power outage in my room.
It's crazy.
Honestly, my fault, guys, but There is one guy I'm really, really looking forward to for the Clemson Tigers. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up Brent. Just need 1 second.
General
Just
Booty.
1 second. I promise.
I don't blame you.
We are looking at how to pronounce the name of American football quarterback for the Clemson Tigers. How do you go about pronouncing his name? It's not obvious when you just look at the spelling, right? But it's pretty straightforward once you know. DJ Uiagalelei.
Uiagalelei.
It's still not straightforward.
For the sake of time and effort, I'm gonna just call him DJ, just for the sake of time. But I thought that'd be a funny little intro. Of course, there was a Walmart advertisement that messed me up in my little show. But Clemson Tigers back to being serious. They went 10-3, 6-2 last season. They won 20-13 against Iowa State in the Cheez-It Bowl, one of my personal favorite bowls. Pretty cool. They obviously won the conference in 2020 when they had the college football player, the Trevor Lawrence. You know, you understand the Trevor Lawrence years. They won the ACC from 2015 to 2020 under Dabo Swinney. Sweeney. I don't know why I said it like that. 150-36 in his 15th season is Dabo. He's looking for an incredible season again with star quarterback DJ. You heard it, play it back. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to mispronounce all of it. I have high respect for ACC casters for Clemson. I'm pretty sure they actually call him DJ now. I don't think they use the full last name.
I would.
Fair enough.
Hey, we saw it with like Tua. Nobody knew how to say his name at first. Nobody knew how to say Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis. Yeah, that's what I was
I mean, nobody knew how to say Connor Sherry. They were calling him Connor Sherry for years.
You know.
And that's not even a hard name.
I still don't think I know how to pronounce Giannis. I don't even say his last name just because I don't want to mess it up.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Nope, that's wrong.
Clemson star quarterback DJU. Oh, I like that nickname. I'm calling him DJU. 2,246 yards, 9 touchdowns, 10 picks last season. Obviously, they had incredible receivers that hit the draft. So Bo Collins, the sophomore wide receiver, is going to have to take a big leap in year 2. He had 31 catches, 407 yards, and 3 touchdowns last season. He's going to have to get it fixed. He's going to have to not get it fixed like with DJ and playing, but 10 picks to 9 touchdowns a problem. You can't have that happening, especially Clemson, who's had star quarterbacks from Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. They need to fix that play. Player to watch number 2 for me is Myles Murphy. He's a junior defensive end, 37 tackles, 7 sacks, and a forced fumble last season. It's kind of crazy when you look at this record, 10-3. This season was considered a loss. You won 10 games. But Clemson's a different sort of beast. They're kind of like Alabama on the same spectrum. You got to win your conference. You have to make the college football playoff, and you have to win the national championship, or at least make an appearance. That's crazy. They did celebrate their 11th straight season with double-digit wins. However, they were dead last in passing efficiency in the ACC. Say that again. In the ACC with a team that has Georgia Tech and Duke. They were dead last in passing efficiency. The Clemson Tigers. That's embarrassing. The rushing attack was okay. They had 4.5 yards per carry, 168 yards per game. Their defense was playing on a national level last season. They were first in the ACC, 8th in the nation, 2nd in the nation in scoring defense, and they never allowed more than 27 points in a game. Clemson had a great defense. They need the offense to step up this season. The defense, their opponents last season were 20-31 in scoring in red zone. That's 65%. That's one of the best in college football. My most important game for them after that whole spiel is Week 11 at home against number 16 Miami. It could make or break their ACC championship hopes. It could make or break their college football playoff hopes. I believe this team goes 11-2, has a chance to make a run at the college football playoff if they can get one less loss somewhere along the road. But watch out for the Tigers because I believe they're back in business. Oh, geez.
I know one of Braden's players to watch for this next team.
Go for it.
Do you? Okay.
I do.
Okay,
Go
I don't know. We'll see.
You want me to say it now?
Yeah, go for it.
Cedric Highsmith, Duke University, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
I really thought he was going to say Daniel Jones.
No.
Yeah, they looking at the Blue Devils, they definitely miss Daniel Jones a lot.
They miss Cedric Highsmith.
Yeah, if he was actually playing for this team, he'd be the best player on the team. So, guys, this is a basketball school.
Just skip it.
The Blue Devils went 3-9
That
last
said, we're
season.
going to the Florida State Seven. No, I'm just kidding.
They were 0-8 in the conference, did not make a bowl. They last won the Coastal back in 2013, where they lost to Florida State in the conference championship game 7-45. Their head coach is Mike Elko. He's a first-year head coach. He spent several years as a defensive coordinator for multiple teams, most recently being Texas A&M, before earning the head coaching job at Duke. They got a bit of a quarterback competition going on. They got Riley Leonard, who is a sophomore. He threw for 381 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 pick in 6 appearances. He also ran it in for 2 touchdowns. Remember that. He ran it in for 2 touchdowns. He's in competition.
I feel targeted.
He's in competition with fellow sophomore Jordan Moore, who had only 19 passing attempts last season, in which he completed 9 of them for 95 yards and a touchdown. But he ran it in 3 times. So he had 3 rushing touchdowns, but Moore has also been taking snaps at wide receiver alongside Leonard at quarterback. So they haven't officially named a starter as of 2 days ago. But yeah, Jordan Moore is a gadget guy. He can play anywhere on the offense. And then Riley Leonard is more of a true quarterback with rushing upside. I got 2 players to watch other than Cedric Highsmith. We got Shaka Hayward. He's a senior linebacker who had 97 tackles last season, 10.5 for loss and a pick. And then I have senior offensive guard Jacob Monk. He's 6'3", 310. It's his 4th year starting at right guard. He's very versatile as a lineman. He could easily make the transition to anywhere else on that own line, but they have him at right guard listed right now. Guys, believe it or not, this team could beat their last season win total in 4 games. This team could start 4-0. It starts off at home against Temple, on the road against Northwestern, and at home again against North Carolina A&T. That last game, they could start 3-0 easily there. Their last winnable game on the schedule is week 4, away at Kansas. After that, they can't win any games. It's over. They either go 4-0 and then lose the rest of the games, or they start like 2-2 and just keep losing.
Hey, at least
they'll start 4-0.
At least they'll have a promising start. Ridiculous. Get the hopes up and then crush.
Just crush.
So you're projecting another Duke Blue Devils 8 straight losses in the ACC.
Yes.
Honestly,
I don't have them going 4-0. I have them losing that last game against Kansas. So another 3-9 season for the Blue Devils. But they could start 4-0. We're excited about.
I love the optimism here.
Yeah. It's a basketball school. Let them be.
Are they? They lost. They didn't even win an ACC championship last year. I was prepped for that statement. Sorry. I was really prepped for that one, Bray. All right. I love the optimism. Braden.
Mm-hmm.
Brent, what do you say you take an old stab at the second best team in Florida?
Yes, sir.
Look,
gone are the days of the Jameis Winston-led Seminoles. Ever since he declared for the draft, the team just really has not been the same. Last year, they went 5-7, getting 4 of those wins within the division. But let's look at how they stack up for this upcoming year. Their head coach is third-year man Mike Norvell. Their quarterback is dual threat option Jordan Travis. Y'all know what they say about 2 first names. Not good. Jordan Travis, he had a decent season last year. He went for 1,539 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He added 530 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns with his legs. 2 other players to watch are junior safety Jamie Robinson, who who had 84 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles. The other player is Robert Cooper, a senior defensive tackle. He's had 104 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, and 3 broken up passes in 4 seasons. Now, Florida State did add 2 4-star transfers and 6 4-star recruits for this upcoming season, but I still don't think they compete in this division. I have them going 5-7 once again.
Ouch.
They need Jameis back. Famous Jameis.
Give him his COVID year.
Yeah.
All he's going to do is take more of their seafood.
Just don't put him in an Uber. Don't put him in an Uber.
Mm-mm.
Oh, jeez. All right, I'm cutting your segment. We're going to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Guys, can I put something into perspective for you about this team really fast? Since 2018, 22 of their 29 losses have been by double digits. If that hasn't been enough, they closed out last season against Notre Dame and Georgia. Try and guess the combined score.
7.
70?
7. Oh, wait, against?
Try and guess how many points were scored against them total between
80.
those two. 80?
4. 2 safeties.
They closed out last season losing by a combined score to Notre Dame and Georgia of 100-0.
Oh no.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's bad. Their offense was 93rd in the nation and averaged 24 points per game. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets last season went 3-9, 2-6 in ACC play. Obviously not making a bowl game. Last time they won the division was in 2009. They beat Clemson 39-34. Jeff Collins is going into his 5th season at a whopping record of 9-25. So he's on his way out. Quarterback sophomore Jeff Sims, actually a small highlight of this team. 113 and 188 for 1,468 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 picks, 500 yards on the ground, and 6 touchdowns on the ground. So he can run, he can sling it. Their wide receiver, Malachi Carter, he's a senior, had 37 receptions, 489 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Finally, their senior linebacker, Ayinde Ale, that's a pretty cool name, 88 tackles, half a sack, 1 pass deflection. Georgia Tech is bad. Their defense was 11th in the ACC, could not hold the run. They were also dead last in America in passing efficiency defense. So not offense, defense. Dead last in America. That's including FCS schools.
Oh no.
They had a 36% third down conversion rate in their last set in 7 of their last 10 games. It was horrific for the Yellow Jackets. Their big game, somebody tweeted this. A verified person tweeted this. Week 1 at home against Clemson in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets will take down the Clemson Tigers for a major possible upset in Week 1. I don't know.
I'd like to see it.
I don't know who it was.
So going from worst in America to beating the number 5 ranked team in the nation.
I don't know who it was. I don't know who did it.
It was you, Joe. Let's be honest. It was you.
I'm not verified, so it wasn't me. If I was, you could blame me. Whoever that person is going to get a nice piece of humble pie. Nice. I'm pretty sure the first game's on the Thursday, actually. I think it's a Thursday. I honestly think it's September 1st is their first game. This team is going to improve to 4-8. But they're going to lose by 50 to Clemson. They're going to go 150-0 in their past 3 games. That's my take on the Yellow Jackets.
All I'm saying, don't be surprised when Georgia Tech pulls off the upset.
Dude, if they pull off the upset, I'll personally order a Georgia Tech polo and wear it on the next podcast.
Sounds good.
I will order the nicest one I can find too. Like I'll pick the $50 one over the $20 one. I'm not kidding. If they pull that game off, I will never wear this one again. Plus that. So eyes open. Brent, talk to me about another basketball school.
Yeah, we got the Louisville Cardinals. They had a good season last year. They went 6-7, going 500 divisionally. They ended the season with a loss to Air Force in the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl, but I think they have a fairly good roster entering the 2022 season. Their head coach is Scott Satterfield, who has gone 18-19 and is entering his fourth season with the team. Their quarterback and best player is Malik Cunningham, who is a returning senior for the team. He had 2,941 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions throwing the ball. But this guy is a total beast in the run game. He had 1,031 rushing yards and, wait for it, 20 rushing touchdowns on the ground. This guy isn't just a quarterback. He's a total athlete, which is what football has been transitioning to in recent years.
Hold up. Is that one season or a career?
One season. Last year, 20 rushing touchdowns.
Did somebody say Lamar Jackson?
That's what I kept thinking when I was reading these stats.
You said 1,000 rushing, 2,900 passing, and 20 on the ground. How many in the air?
19.
He had more on the ground?
Yep.
How did this team go 6-7?
I don't know. I looked up his draft, his NFL draft comparison. He's projected to go as an undrafted free agent. I don't know how. That's
stupid.
But if he has another good season, I think we should be talking about him for the 2023 NFL draft. We'll see.
That's absurd.
It is absurd. I couldn't believe it when I saw the stats.
He did that in the ACC.
Yep.
We're not talking CUSA. That's 4 weeks ago.
I'm aware.
Please continue. That's impressive.
The two other players come from the defensive side of the ball. Jermaine Lowell, he's a senior defensive tackle. He's had 122 tackles, 11 sacks, and 20 tackles for loss in 3 seasons at Arizona State. He missed the 2021 season due to a torn pec, and that's when he made the transfer to Louisville. Yasir Abdullah is the other one. He's a senior linebacker. He's had 146 tackles, 14 sacks, 27.5 tackles for loss, and 1 interception in 4 seasons. The Cardinals, they could make some noise this year in the ACC if things fall their way. They have a really good schedule to start the season, but their last few games are going to be a tough stretch. They play Clemson, NC State, and Kentucky to end the year. So my prediction is, hold on, I didn't have it on my sheet here. 7-5. I think they'll go 7-5 this upcoming season. I think they'll make a pretty big improvement from last year.
Dude, you sold me.
I love the quarterback. I mean, I want to watch more of him. I want to watch his highlights and stuff because if he really is that good running the ball, that would be a great asset at the NFL level, I think.
Braden, we don't play them, right? I don't think we play them this year.
I don't think so.
I don't want a piece of that. But
it does not look like it. Yeah, we do not.
But a team we do play this season is all yours. Take it away, bud.
Yeah. The Miami, Florida Hurricanes are number 16 in the nation in the AP polls currently. They went 7-5 last season, 5-3 in the conference. They were unable to participate in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl against Washington State due to COVID protocols last season. So they didn't get to play in their bowl game, unfortunately. It's sad to see, but they did have a pretty successful season otherwise. The last time they won the Coastal was back in 2017, where they lost the conference championship game 3-38, obviously against Clemson during the Trevor Lawrence era. Their head coach is Mario Cristobal, It's his first year at Miami. He spent the last 5 years as Oregon's head coach, where he amassed a record of 35-13. So a pretty solid head coach for a solid team. Their quarterback is Tyler Van Dyke, who stole the show last year from Derek King. He's a junior. He threw for 2,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, and only 6 picks. I got 2 players to watch for them. We got an offensive tackle, junior Zion Nelson. He's 6'5", 316 pounds. It's his 4th year starting at left tackle, and he's honorable mention all ACC at left tackle, which we all know is a super important position to protecting the quarterback. My next player to watch is Tyreek Stevenson. He's a junior cornerback. Last season, he had 43 tackles, 1 pick, and 4 passes broken up. My most important game for them is Week 13. Unfortunately, I'm going to be talking about this one twice. It's Week 13 versus number 17 Pittsburgh. It's the last of 8 straight conference games for Miami, Florida. And they're coming off a showdown at number 4 Clemson. This game could decide the winner of the Coastal Division right here. And it's a very important game in this division. I have the Hurricanes going 9-3 this season.
That's a step up. I do want to put a 3-second input. This 7-5 record does not define how good Miami's team was last year.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to add that input to anybody wondering and saying that 9-4 might be a little outrageous. It is not. It is not.
Yeah, we were another thing. I just remember how hyped we were about Derek King going into the season, and then Tyler Van Dyke just stole the show from him. And now Derek King was an undrafted free agent. He got signed to the Patriots, and he's under Bailey Zappi right now.
Go Bailey Zappi. I love him. He's my favorite college football player that I don't follow. Brent, take the honor of honestly talking about one of the craziest story teams of college football last season.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a really, really, really solid year last year. NC State, the Wolfpack. Honestly, Wolfpack is a tough name. It's one of my favorite names in college football. It might be my favorite. I love the Wolfpack. I think it's a really cool name. This team is getting a lot better. They went 9-3 last year, securing 2nd place only behind Wake Forest in the Atlantic. They're coached by Dave Doran, who has had a very solid record of 64-49 over 9 seasons with the team. At quarterback, they have 11th ranked NFL quarterback prospect, Devin Leary. Leary really came into his own last season after 2 average seasons before that, going for 3,433 yards, 35 touchdowns, and only 5 picks. Very, very efficient, very accurate. His one weakness is he struggles making decisions from time to time. If his first read isn't open, he tends to hold the ball a little bit too long and take those sacks. 2 other star players, both come from the linebacker spot. The first is Peyton Wilson, junior linebacker, 108 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 11.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions last season. Wilson is currently slated to be a 7th-round draft pick for this upcoming year. The next is Drake Thomas, a junior linebacker, 191 tackles, 11.5 sacks, 27 tackles for loss, and 4 interceptions in 3 seasons. Both of these guys are first-team All-ACC, and they give quarterbacks hell on a regular basis. NC State has playmakers all over the field, both on offense and the defensive side of the ball. If they're able to get past Clemson, they could easily have a shot at the Atlantic and maybe, just maybe, win their first ACC championship since 1979.
Wow.
That's how long it's been.
Brent, that's the best hot take I think you've ever had on this podcast.
I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm saying there's a chance. There's a chance. They're a really good team.
I like it.
They're gonna be missing a left tackle though this season.
Yep. Icky.
Icky Ekwonu, baby.
Icky Ekwonu, baby. I do want to say one thing about NC State as well. between Devin Leary at quarterback, who was an absolute all-ACC all-star, and Darion Sebron. If you all know the name, he was an athletic all-star. He was a basketball player for the Wolfpack last season, who was playing for the New Orleans Pelicans, I believe. Someone might want to double-check me on that. They had two of the most natural-born greatest athletes I've ever seen. So I did want to highlight both of them because they had crazy years last year, and an NC State team that for football and basketball has been poorly defined in the past decade or so. I think those were two very bright spots they deserved. So
Absolutely.
I wanted to highlight that. But Brent, I seriously think that's the best hot take you've had on this podcast. Is the chance of them taking down Clemson. That'd be hype.
That would be hype. It's possible. I'm not saying it's likely, but it's possible. It's possible.
It's pretty cool. Talking about a team that is the exact opposite of NC State's last season. This team, to quote Mac Brown, week 1, we were overhyped.
I still can't believe he said that. I still can't believe that.
Word for word, we were overhyped. If you don't know what I'm talking about, UNC was the number 10 team going into 2021. They came into Blacksburg, Virginia, and Sam Howell's face hit the dirt so many times, he fell that many rounds in the NFL draft. That was a bit of a shot. I'm sorry, but had to say that. They lost 17-10 to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech gave them hundreds of opportunities to bring that game back, but the defense never stuttered. It set the tone for the season. They're 21-17 in their last 3 seasons. Their offense finished 10th in the nation. They have one of the best offenses in the NCAA, and 6-7. It's because their defense was horrible. They scored 35 points per game. UNC went 0-7. 0-7 when they scored 34 points or fewer against FBS teams. You're telling me you went 0-7 scoring 34 points? Averaging 35 a game? That defense needs some help. Let me tell you why. The defense was the worst in the ACC, allowing 418 yards and 32 points per game. So this is not all on Sam Howell. I'm not dissing him. Week 1 was his fault, though. He threw 3 picks. Just no. Sam Howell's gone. Mac Brown's back. Mac Brown entering his 14th season, 90-63-1. They lost in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, 38-21 against their rivals, South Carolina. So they're still ticked. They also, in their previous appearance, lost 45-37 to Clemson in 2015 for the ACC title. What if I told you guys that UNC has never won the ACC championship game?
Wow.
They have not.
That's surprising. That's really surprising.
Never. They have never won it. What'd you say?
I said they suck.
Let's talk about this year, though. They have a 3-way quarterback competition that still has not been settled. Drake May, the redshirt freshman, Jacoby Criswell, the junior, and Connor Harrell, the true freshman. They have 3 quarterbacks, 2 are freshmen, 1's a junior. God bless you.
Excuse me, sorry.
You're good. Oh, by the way, I want to rewrap super quick to the bottom right corner. The Michigan quarterback battle, they said week 1 won't be an answer. So you might see both of them, just to tag that one in. My player to watch for them is the 6'5", 320-pounder, 3rd year in a row starter, Asim Richards. He's an offensive tackle. Obviously at 320, 6'5", big boy. Plays offensive tackle. I think they want him to play left tackle this season as well. So being able to protect the blind side of those freshman QBs or the junior, whichever Mac Brown decides to go with. I think we'll be seeing that in week 0 tomorrow. So, take a look out for who's going to be starting on that first snap. Their game for me, week 5 in Chapel Hill against the Virginia Tech Hokies. They want some revenge. They want some revenge from week 1 from that devastating loss. It's one of 3 super difficult games for Virginia Tech, and it's actually difficult for the UNC Tar Heels because right after that, they head to Miami to play the number 16 Miami Hurricanes. So that's a must-win against the Virginia Tech Hokies for them, and they want some blood back in this battle. That's all I have on UNC. I have them going 7-6, going 6-6, and winning their bowl game. Very average team. Mac Brown seems to know how to figure it out, though. He's Mac Brown. He's a great coach. Great coach.
Nice.
With that being said, I guess we can talk about someone that was picked really highly in the draft this season. No, I'm not talking about George Pickens. I'm talking about the Panther Nation-led Kenny Pickett.
Small
Kenny
hands.
Pickett.
Small hands.
Small hands, staying local, staying in Pittsburgh. The Panthers last season had an amazing season. They were conference champions. Nobody expected that going into the season. They had an amazing season. They went 11-3, 7-1 in the conference. They did lose their bowl game, the Peach Bowl against Michigan State, 21-31, but they were conference champs. They beat Wake Forest in the championship game, 45-21. So a very, very successful season for Pitt. They're led by head coach Pat Marduzzi. It's his 8th year at Pitt, where he went 53-37 the past 7 years. Their quarterback is Keaton Slovis. He's a senior transfer from USC. The guy is uber talented. Last season, he threw for 2,153 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 8 picks in only 9 games. As a true freshman back in 2019, he threw for 3,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. So the kid is talented. The past 2 seasons, he hasn't lived up to that potential that he did his true freshman year, but he's still super good, and he's going to fill Kenny Pickett's shoes fairly well. I got 2. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's going to have some bigger gloves, so it's going to be tough fitting in Kenny Pickett's gloves. So we'll see how he does. He might have some hand cramps. I got 2 players to watch. One on the offensive side of the ball. It's Carter Warren. He's a senior offensive tackle. He's 6'5", 320 pounds. Last year, he took over the starting job at left tackle. And just that one season starting at left tackle, he earned second team All ACC. So the kid's a beast. And then I have a junior defensive end. I might butcher his name. It's Habakkuk Baldonado. He had 41 tackles, 12 for loss, 9 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. My most important game for them, I already talked about it, Week 13 versus at number 16 Miami. Winning here gives them a shot at repeating as conference champs. So they're going to go 9-3. It's going to be a bit of a step down. I don't think they take the conference this year, but still a very solid season.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to replace a Kenny Pickett, especially because he's been going off in preseason. So, Brent, what do you think about Week 1 for the Steelers, since we're talking about Pittsburgh?
Trubisky's going to be the starter.
Obviously.
Well, according to Mike Tomlin, they haven't decided yet, but
he's
Trubisky been playing pretty well too.
Mm-hmm. I heard Trubisky's starting on Sunday.
Okay, yeah, I think it's going to be Trubisky, and honestly, either way they go, I don't think they can go wrong. Honestly, I like Trubisky more. I like Trubisky more than a lot of other people do. I know, but I think he's got a lot left in him, and I think he has a lot to prove.
I'd agree.
Yeah. I think it's, other than the Geno Smith, Drew Lock competition, it's the tightest quarterback competition of the offseason. And they're a much better duo than Drew Lock and Geno Smith.
Yeah.
So it's actually fun to watch.
Whoa. You're right. You want to talk about something else that's not a great competition in football?
Yeah. The Orange. 5-7, 2-6 in the conference.
He goes, the Orange.
The Orange.
I love that name.
I do too. The Syracuse is a fun team. I like them.
Go Cuse.
Basketball school. They didn't make their bowl. Syracuse has never won the Atlantic. They won the Big East back in 2012 and joined the ACC the next year. Haven't had that sort of success in the ACC, obviously, but they used to be successful. They're led by head coach Dino Babers. It's his 7th year at Syracuse, where he's gone 29-43, so not a great record. He's going to be on the hot seat. If it's not a winning season for him, he could be gone. Their quarterback is Garrett Schrader. He's a senior, Last season, he only threw for 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions through the air. He also ran for an additional 781 yards and 14 touchdowns. So he had a lot more success on the ground than he did through the air. Not 20 touchdowns. So he's not quite as good as that Louisville guy, but he did have 14 touchdowns on the ground. I got 2 guys to watch, both. Actually, the reason that they didn't have as much going on during the air attack is Sean Tucker, their junior running back, ran for 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, and he had 2 more touchdowns through the air. So 2 of the team's 9 receiving touchdowns came from him as the running back. I also got a linebacker, senior Michael Jones. He had 109 tackles, 12 of them for loss, 3 sacks, and 4 interceptions on his career. Everything else was over past season, 4 interceptions on his career that all came in 2020. So he does have that interception upside. He didn't do it last season, but he can. He can pick the ball off. My most important game for me is week 1 versus Louisville. It's those 2 mobile quarterbacks going head-to-head. This is one of the few winnable games this season for them, but it won't be easy because Louisville's not a run-over team, as Brent was talking about. The Syracuse team isn't terrible, but most of the other teams on the schedule are better than them. So I have them going 3-9, taking a step down. I think Dino Babers, it's time to go, buddy. Get somebody else in here.
Hey, maybe. Yeah, go Cubes.
Cookies.
That was like 5 years ago, dude.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
That's nuts. Brandon, did you see my text?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Brent, I'm sorry we had to stick you here, but you got to take one for the team.
It's okay, guys. UVA, you can see on the screen there, they had an average season last year. They went 6-6 with 4 of those wins coming from within the division. They're led by first-year head coach Tony Elliott. Elliott comes from the Dabo Sweeney coaching tree as he served as the assistant head coach, offensive coordinator, and tight ends coach during his time at Clemson. I guess UVA just likes hiring head coaches named Tony because they got the basketball coach and now the football coach. Their quarterback and probably best player is Brennan Armstrong, the redshirt senior. Armstrong had 4,449 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, and added 9 rushing touchdowns with his legs. He currently ranks as the 12th best quarterback in the nation and is projected as a 3rd-round pick for next year. I guess you can put up some pretty good numbers when you throw the ball 500 times.
He's a beast.
He's really good.
It's enough said, dude. He's awesome. He's so good. My personal favorite is when he throws to his offensive lineman.
A couple other good players for them, not their offensive lineman, but their top pass catcher, Dontavian Wicks, junior wide receiver. He had 57 catches, 1,203 yards, and 9 touchdowns last year. He averaged 21.1 yards per catch. So he gets pretty deep when he catches the ball. The other guy is Nick Jackson, senior linebacker. He's had 248 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble in 3 seasons. Their most important game, obviously, it's the Commonwealth Cup. I had to put it there. But it might be even more important this year because I feel like UVA and Virginia Tech, they're similarly ranked going into this season. I feel like they're not too far apart. I'd probably give the edge to Virginia Tech right now, but I have UVA going 6-6 to end the year.
I respect that.
Same as last year.
It's time. I want to say Not only is it time to talk about Joe and I's university, but also Brent's former university, it's also Saturday. College football is officially here, boys. It starts today.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. All right, Joe, kick us off.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is college football Saturday. You could not have timed that better. That's actually impressive. This was unplanned. This makes me really happy. You can see the blush and smile on my face. We're talking Virginia Tech Hokies, baby. 6-7, 4-4 last season. Obviously, the end of the Justin Fuente era. Enter head coach Brent Pry. Just for the matter of Brent. Just for the matter of fact of not repeating Brent when he talked about the Maryland bowl game, you already know the scores, so we're not going to repeat that. Brent Pry entering his first season. It's Virginia Tech Hokies football. It's one of the greatest things in Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm so pumped to be talking about it with a former Hokie. Hey, once a Hokie, always a Hokie, baby. You already know that. And my current roommate and current Hokie. Guys, Virginia Tech Hokies football has a little bit more in the air this year. When you're walking to classes, when you're biking around, when you're driving around, there's just a little essence in the air that Justin Fuente's gone. We lost Hendon Hooker. We lost so many other players, so many other quarterbacks, but we brought in Brent Pry. We're trying to fix things. We brought in new quarterback Grant Wells. We brought in backup quarterback Jason Brown. Things are looking up for this team. Two things I want to highlight before I kick it over to Braden for our players to watch. Offensive coordinator Tyler Bowen. He spent last season with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He has NFL experience. He has a huge experience working with Brent Pry, and that's critical in football, guys. You have to have somebody that has your back. And I'm not even going to say our offensive coordinator's name last season because, gosh dang it, can we throw the ball this season? We have a guy that can sling it. Last thing I want to say before I kick it to Braden. There are three elephants in the room for Virginia Tech Hokies. Trey Turner's in the NFL. Big play Trey's gone. James Mitchell, the governor, obviously didn't play the entire last season. Still a huge loss. Went to the NFL, was on the Lions. And Tavion Robinson transferred to Kentucky. That's three huge studs for the Virginia Tech Hokies. But guys, I'll give my record prediction here in a minute. I'm optimistic. Braden, take it over, baby.
Yeah, Joe mentioned transfer Grant Wells from Marshall, and he's right. He can sling the ball. We need to throw the ball this season. Last season, he threw for 3,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 13 picks. Getting that turnover rate down would be great, but I'm happy with the yardage there. He's throwing the ball. That's what we need to do. I got two players to watch. I know Joe has one or two on his mind as well. I got senior linebacker Dax Holyfield. He is the most consistent Hokie on the field. Last season, he had 92 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and 1 interception. He's a linebacker, but you can find him absolutely anywhere on the field. You can find him deep in the secondary. You can find him plugging the trenches, stopping the run. You can find him sacking the quarterback. He's everywhere. He has a lot of heart. He wants to win. He is a winner. Then I got Chamari Connor. He's a senior safety. Last season and the season before, he put up over 80 tackles. Last season, he had 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 interception, 5 passes deflected, and 2 forced fumbles. He's a very, very solid safety who wraps up and makes a lot of tackles. Joe, do you want to talk about any players to watch that I missed before I talk about the most important game?
I do. I have two. Obviously, I mentioned the 2 wide receivers that are gone. There's a big man that is able to fill those shoes. I'm very excited about Caleb Smith this season. He's a senior. He's in his final season. Last year, he had 20 receptions, 260 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, I know that doesn't sound that great, but our quarterback, no offense to Braxton Burmeister, by the way. Braxton played great for us. Honestly, very much going to miss him. Obviously, he went to San Diego State. Obviously, we talked about that earlier. But the fact that he was able to get 260 yards, 20 receptions, and 2 touchdowns under an offense where we barely threw the ball at all season, extremely frustrating. Caleb Smith is dynamic. He's 6'2", 220 pounds. He's very quick. He has a great wingspan, and he's made some crazy catches, including that one against Miami that you need to watch on repeat. I'm extremely excited for him. Second, I'm actually going to talk about, I lost his name on here, a freshman, sorry. Someone that's number 5 on the depth chart, but he's not number 5 on the depth chart. Brent Pry loves this guy, and who am I to argue? It's the freshman Bryce Duke. Bryce Duke is a huge name around campus. Obviously, we have one, in my opinion, we have one of the best running back rooms in college football. Between Malachi Thomas, Jalen Holston, Keyshawn Kane, Chance Black. Obviously, we lost Raheem Blackshear to the NFL draft. I believe we have a great running back room. This guy is from Virginia, born and raised, Leesburg, Virginia. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. I'm extremely excited for the freshman to get the ball because we love to use our running backs in so many different ways, even if it's on kick or punt return. So I just wanted to highlight that freshman. Braden, I also have a game to watch, but I want to kick it over to you because yours is definitely more influential to us.
Yes. Brent said it. Week 13 versus UVA in Layton Stadium for the Commonwealth Cup.
For our first time.
Yes. So, Brent said it. I'm going to piggyback off him. Both teams are projected similar records. They're both expected to go bowling with 6 wins or 7 wins or 8 wins. Sure, making a bowl game is great. We're not really going to compete for the conference. We're not going to compete for the division. This game for these two teams is the season. If both teams make a bowl game, it will be considered a success. But this game is the season. If we win this game, if Virginia wins this game, it's a success for that team. The Commonwealth Cup is so important in terms of bragging rights in the state of Virginia.
Braden was about to use his first ever podcast cuss word. He held back.
I was thinking about it. It's true. But yeah, this game is very, very important for Hokie and Cavalier fans alike.
And if you don't think that game's important, there's a man on our campus. Just a simple defensive coach. His name's J.C. Price. He is the legend on this campus because he took over for the Commonwealth Cup and brought it back to Blacksburg. That is how much this game means to this city, to this town, to its people, to its college people. If we don't win this game, the entire season is a loss. We don't care about anything else. Luckily, I've been a Hokie. This is my 3rd year. We've won it both times I've been here. I'm trying to keep that streak alive as I'm graduating in December. I want 3 for 3. I really do because basketball season's looming large and UVA's put up a heck of a team this season and they want blood.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight for sure.
My game to watch is another one that hurt me personally last season when the Hokies were undefeated. This season, for the first time since I can remember, Lane Stadium will be bussin' on a Thursday night, September 22nd at 7:30. This game's been sold out for weeks. The Black Diamond Trophy is coming from Morgantown, and we want it here in Blacksburg because if you walk into our athletics facility, there is a plaque that says Black Diamond Trophy, and there is an empty dust settling of looming large of the West Virginia Mountaineers coming. Now, I know JT Daniels is there. I know we lost by 3 last season. That game might be more packed than the UVA game, and that says a lot. Classes will be canceled on Thursday. Classes will be canceled on Friday. It's all about college football after we play Old Dominion, Boston College, and Wofford. We should walk into that game 3-0. We really, really should. Brent, yeah, whatever. That's my game to watch. It's week 4. If we can hit that game to go 4-0, we have UNC, Pitt, and Miami after that. That's a really hard stretch. It's a really hard stretch. But we'll talk about that later. Braden, you couldn't have said it better about the Commonwealth Cup, but the Black Diamond Trophy is on the other half of my brain right now because I want that one back. It's not in the facilities.
Very exciting. It's a very exciting game. Brent, I think having both in the same in Blacksburg by the end of the season would be a huge win. That'd be great.
Brent, as a former Hokie, is there anything you're looking out for? We don't want to leave you left out on this Virginia Tech Hokies segment.
How's Kelly Lawson doing?
I actually think he's hurt right now.
Damn it.
But
Former Sharando graduate, so I had to keep
he
up.
moved to linebacker. I played
Yeah.
alongside him. Obviously, haven't spoken personally in a while, but he's a very good player with a lot of raw talent, and I'm excited to watch him progress the next few years.
He looked jacked in a few pictures.
No, he's huge.
Yeah,
He's
looked
big.
very. In high school, he was very skinny, so it's surprising how big he's gotten.
He's very bulked up, and I'm very excited to watch him play. He's one of the fastest people I've ever seen in person. Like he would.
Yep.
Yeah.
And obviously the height's a big factor too, because
he can catch the ball. So I'm excited for that. But Virginia Tech Hokies, unfortunately. Oh, Braden, record prediction. I'm sorry.
Brent Pry will bring success to this program. It won't be in the first year, but I would consider 7-5 a successful season, and I don't think that's unreasonable at all. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think 7-5 is what we shoot for.
I have on here the Virginia Tech Hokies will go 7-5. So
I don't think it's unreasonable.
It's really not.
I would have said the same.
It's that 4-game stretch. It's that 4-game stretch in the middle between WVU, UNC, Pitt, and Miami. Well, I guess we have NC State too.
NC State's right after that too.
Yeah, that's a 5-hole. But then you end the season with Georgia Tech, Duke, Liberty, and then obviously UVA. So we're talking. Let's say we win 2 of the 5.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to 5-3. Then we beat Georgia Tech. We beat Duke. We beat Liberty. Like we're talking possibly 8-4.
Yeah. So I was thinking the same thing. We have that 4 or 5 game stretch. I'm thinking we compare WVU and Virginia. I think if we win one of those games, that's the rest of the games are very winnable. And then we just have that 4-game stretch. Like even if we lose all of those games, we're still 7-5.
I agree. It's very reasonable. We're being humble. Very reasonable. But we should start the season 3-0 undefeated when WVU comes to town. If we don't, then I'm going to be actually really upset.
Mm-hmm.
Wolford.
Yeah, that game's at 11 a.m., so we better win that one.
I'm trying to come to it still. I gotta get someone to watch my dogs, but I'm gonna try to be there.
All right, Brent, wrap us up with Wake Forest.
Yeah, we do still have one more team, in case you guys were wondering. We got Wake. The Demon Deacons had a phenomenal season last year, getting past Clemson to make it to the ACC championship, which is a big feat in itself. Unfortunately for them, Kenny Pickett gave them headaches in the championship game, and they ended up finishing the season 11-3. They're coached by ninth-year man Dave Clawson, who has obtained a 51-48 record with the team. Their best player is at the quarterback position, Sam Hartman. The junior had 4,228 yards, 39 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and added 363 rushing yards and an additional 11 touchdowns with his legs. So, phenomenal player in the ACC. Although Hartman did leave the team recently because of a medical condition that is not related to football. Hopefully he can be back before the start of the season. I think the coach said that he's expecting it, but prayers for him, and hopefully he can make it in time for that week 1 matchup. Now, with all of those yards from Hartman last year, he had to have had a favorite target. That guy was A.T. Perry, junior wide receiver. He had 71 catches, 1,293 yards, and 15 touchdowns last season. The other guy was Rondell Bothroyd, a junior defensive end who's had 106 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 23 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles in 4 seasons with the team. This team has to once again get past Clemson and NC State to make it to the ACC championship, which I don't think they're going to do, especially when there is ambiguity with Sam Hartman right now. if he was there right now, even if he is ready for week 1, he hasn't been there for a little bit, so it might be a little tough. I have them finishing the year 10-2. So still a solid record, but I don't think they make it back to the ACC championship.
Yeah, Brent, about Sam Hartman, there's talk that he might not come back at all as well.
I know the coach is optimistic, but based on recent news, it doesn't look that good.
Yeah, on August 9th, they ruled him out indefinitely.
Yeah.
And I know the coach is being optimistic, but it sounded like he was going to be out for a very long time.
Yeah.
So,
I
continue
don't
to be optimistic.
I don't know what's wrong with him. Hopefully it's nothing really serious. But prayers to him for sure.
All right. I have 2 things to say that are not college football related because they're pressing news and need to be talked about. Number 1, Pete Carroll says that quarterback Geno Smith will start for the Seahawks in week 1 against the Broncos.
I just saw that. I was going to say it.
And number 2, Sam Darnold suffered a high ankle sprain and will undergo an MRI tomorrow. Oh, today. Excuse me. Saturday.
I'm kind of hurt that Drew Lock didn't get to face his former team week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Carroll said, I don't do the whole NFL script thing. I don't do that.
I will say I think Geno does give them the better chance to win, but it would have been a cool storyline for week 1. Drew Lock against his former team.
You can wait for your week 13 storyline.
What's that?
That's the Watson versus Texans.
Oh God. That was scripted.
11-game suspension.
Yeah.
That's so specific. That was so scripted. It had to have been.
Well, guys, welcome to the Sports Outlet Show After Hours. It's
This is a long podcast.
Yeah, it has.
Dude, it's the 2 biggest conferences in football put together besides the one we're talking about next week.
And the next one is just the SEC, so.
Which brings me to my next thing. Next week, guys, next Friday, haven't gotten a time down yet. Hopefully before 10 p.m., we'll see. Oh, wait. Virginia Tech kicks off at 8. Or no, 7. They kick off at 7 on Friday. So we're gonna have to have a discussion. We'll do that. We'll do that off here. Next week, SEC and week 1 preview. On Friday is what we're trying to put. Follow us on Twitter at @outlet_show. I'll go ahead and roll that through on the bottom for you if you haven't already. And then obviously subscribe to our YouTube channel and all that. You'll get the most alerts on our Twitter of when the episode 6 of our Super Summer 6 series that started July 31st is going to come to an end in September. Full month and a little more of college football, boys.
It was a fun series, but hey, we got college football, we got NFL to talk about, so we'll have a lot more to talk about.
I'm scripting off an entire podcast for baseball this year too, just so everyone's aware.
Yeah. October's coming.
October's coming. But we won't keep you all any longer. Thank you for all of you that are still here, and apologize for the stuff in the chat again. I don't know how to stop that. I really don't. We don't have the budget. But we appreciate y'all hanging with us. I do want to have one major shout out here to someone that did provide us with the past 3 Bassmaster Classic fishing champions. David Barry, Hank Cherry won in 2020 and 2021 and dethroned by Jason Christie this year. So watch out for him, guys. Maybe we'll have a bass fishing segment next podcast. I didn't hear a no, David, so it sounds like we're good. Anyways, next week, SEC Week 1 preview. We'll have a lot more in-depth analysis of Week 1 happening for you. There are games on Thursday night and Saturday night, so make sure you're watching out for those. I'm pretty sure Pitt at West Virginia is that one on Thursday night with the Backyard Brawl, so make sure you're looking out for that one. That one's pretty fun. September 2nd is College Colors Day. Make sure everybody's got their college gear on that Friday. Going to be extremely excited. If you don't know the context behind it, go look it up, and I'll give you a more in-depth preview next week. But, boys, anything to head us out on this wonderful Saturday morning?
Nothing. I got nothing.
Sleep
All right,
well.
well, boys, thanks for hanging out with me. Just talked ACC and Big Ten. You haven't seen the other conferences, go check them out. I'm Joe Wagner alongside my two incredible co-hosts that put up with me every single day, Brent Allegra and Braden Wilkins. And as always, Christian Naylor, a major part of this cast as well, who was unable to be with us tonight as their college football.
Next week. He might be back next week.
I'm hoping. But duty calls for college football, and James Madison's getting ready to start playing in the FBS. So good luck to them. Good luck to the Hokies. Good luck to the Hornets as college football starts in less than 12 hours, ladies and gentlemen. And the NFL is less than 2 weeks upon us. Very excited for it. Everyone, God bless you. Have a great night. Have a great Saturday morning. And we're out of here on the Sports Outlet Show. See you next time. Peace out.